Yeah, there's a lot of you guys here. So I can't really, it's kind of like the subtle, the best of the best takeover. All right, yeah, we don't have much of an agenda today. It's an agendaless show, just like every year or every time that there's an American holiday, we do this. We're here for you. We're gonna actually have a little bit of fun. We do have 2, 3 demos, but then we're not gonna have any updates. So we've got the whole call for demos. I'll jump in and show a little bit of stuff if people want that afterwards too, and then we'll also have some open floor. Now I just said that we don't have any updates or anything, but George, did you have anything that you wanted to throw out there at all?
Nope, nothing,
Joe?
nothing
Hello.
specific or new. Just again, weekly reminder: call for speakers is still open for flow. It'll be closing in December. So if you're thinking about it and still haven't drafted up your application, get that in. And then our webinar as well on December 16th. Aaron will actually be on that one, giving his thoughts on AI and automation. So I've managed to tease him in for what will hopefully be an epic rant to finish off the end of the year on the differences, strengths, and weaknesses of automation versus AI. So if you're into that kind of thing, that's on December 16th. Registration page is on the website. I'll drop the link in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Um, we're gonna jump right into stuff, but before we do, is there any pressing thoughts, concerns, grievances, feats of strength, opinions anybody wants to throw out there for us to make sure that we're covering? Okay, that was a 7-second awkward pause, sufficient enough time. All right, let's actually, Joe, how do you feel about being first?
Let's do it.
Awesome. I asked Joe, well, I actually asked all the awesome women at Roost to come on and show off some of the things that they've done in the product. And Joe was the very first person that jumped onto this with me. So I'm excited to see what you got.
Hey everyone, my name's Joe. I am the product design manager here at Roost. So I'm always here on these open mics lurking in the background. And also, don't let this British accent fool you. I actually live in Calgary and I'm here for the Canadian takeover. So let me just share my screen and I'll tell you what I've been up to. Okay. Hopefully you can see my screen. I'll just move all you lovely faces out of the way. So recently we had this internal challenge at Roost, and it's around the courses that we have right now in CluckU. If you could choose a course and have a play around to see about how you might improve it. Now, I consider myself slightly technical, but I do not know Ginger. And I wasn't about to learn all the ins and outs of Ginger either. But I was like, okay, I want to build a workflow. I haven't done anything outside of Hello World. And so I wanted to do something a little bit more complicated. So the course that I looked at was building a self-serve automation request. So basically somebody in your company has an idea of what to automate. They fill in an intake form and then it sends you an email. Now, that was the base form that we had, but there was nothing in there that told you, well, how much time are you saving? What's the cost? Like, how much money are you saving as well by doing this? So I changed things up a bit. So I started off with the intake form and made sure that, obviously all the usual stuff there, the client name or project, what you want to automate, but then making sure that it says, how many minutes does this process take each time? How many times per month? Hourly rate, and also business impact. So you get a choice to say high, medium, or low. Now, because I don't know Ginger, I 100% used Claude AI to help me build out this entire workflow. I was like, tell me how to do that. I have this idea. I've put my UX head on, you know, on how to change up this workflow that we have already, this course that we have already, but how can I build it out? So then it grew legs. So where it says notify owner, this is where the simple piece of this workflow happens, which is just the email that gets sent to your inbox telling you what you might want to automate within your company. And then I was like, well, wouldn't it be great if we had some AI in here as well? So the AI now summarizes what the person has put in this intake form as well. So maybe condenses it down a bit. And then I was like, well, maybe an email isn't enough, because you just get in your inbox, hopefully, a mass of emails with everyone in your company telling you what you could automate. And I was like, well, wouldn't it be great if you could store it all on Google Sheets, or be notified in Slack, or even create a Notion database? So then you have that database of everything that you might want to automate within your company coming from your employees. And then you can say what the status is as well, of, you know, whether it's a high, medium or low, which is put on the intake form, or, you know, what the status is if you've actually built this out. So I have a little video. I'm not going to live test, because some of these things are now obsolete in terms of my freebie accounts that I used to build out this workflow. But I 100%, as said, use Claude AI to help me with generating, you know, generate how to plug in AI, how to plug in Google Sheets, and all these pieces. So let me just go to the little video here. Bear with me. She'll just make sure I can still all see you and give it a play. So here's the form. Yeah. And I just cut and paste something in to automate, which is quite long, just around reviewing expense reports, and each report requires logging into 3 different systems, and basically wanted to know, you know, some calculations in here. So 45 minutes, how many times a month? I'm saying 10. And the hourly rate is optional if you know it, and then selecting the impact. Once the form is submitted, you'll then see that there's an email that will be received. Again, this email was generated by Claude AI as well. I didn't have to write it in HTML or anything. It did it all for me. So here's the email telling me my monthly hours saved, my annual hours saved, estimated cost savings, who it was submitted by, the description, and then there's kind of like the AI summary, which just condensed things down a little bit. And then from there, I'm also showing that it's gone to Google Sheets as well. And in Google Sheets, there's also a status column. So you can say, yep, this is a new piece, and then you can change that status if you're actively working on it or building it out. And then the same with Notion, which just shows it appears in Notion. And not sure what was going on with Notion and why it does the massive text at the top. I think it's because it's like a title, but can always tweak that. And then just showing that it appears in Slack as well, the same message that came in. So just go back here. So right now, this has actually been updated. This piece, just the simplified piece of the notifying the owner and making sure that you have the ROI in place, is now actually a course. And apparently it's been generating good feedback in Cluck University. You know, I'm sure we'll enhance it from that. There's other, my brain is whirring as well on other things that we could potentially do here to enhance this out. Not been tested yet, but we shall see, is we could change up the AI summary. So the AI summary then turns into prompts that you could then use within RoboRoosty to then build out your automation ideas without you even needing to think about it. So, you know, that is my little demo today for you all. Any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer, or maybe I'll slyly put them in Claude on the side. But that was my attempt and it worked, and I was quite proud. Even though I used Claude, I still managed to put this together.
I would say that your use of Claude was strategically intelligent. So that's not even though it's really good.
I'd also say as well that when I was using Claude, there was a couple of times when it gave me step-by-step instructions. It didn't work. And so what I did was I took screen grabs of Roost and then I uploaded them into Claude and said, well, this is what I'm working with. This is where I have to input the information. And then Claude will come back and go, oh, yes, you need to put this here or this here. And so that helped out to get things moving.
And how long, like what, you mentioned that this was the first thing that you've ever built, or?
Yeah.
You did the
so
did the training in the Hello World, and then this was your first stab?
I went through all the 101 training. I did the Hello World. I mean, that was pretty straightforward. I'm sure that there's people on here that are way more technical than what I am. And this was pretty easy to put together. And to be honest with you, it only took me like 2 to 3 hours to put this together. And also because I was making sure as well that Claude provided instructions on step-by-step instructions on how to build this out as well, so that I could then have that as part of like Cluck University or an extension to some of the stuff that was in Cluck University that is probably to come as well.
Yeah. And that's so interesting because like you're showing like it brings the accessibility down to a level where people can use their critical thought to figure out how they're solving these problems. Whereas like, how would you have been able to do something like that before? Ask a dev to build something for me. Or you could design it really well. So yeah, and I guess kind of on that point, you know, like the accessibility of Roost, the ability to kind of branch out and solve some of those problems iteratively. Let's jump to Jeff. Are you on?
I am.
Awesome. Let's hear a little bit about what you've got and how it's been helping, and you can take it from there.
All right. We've got a couple of workflows. I'll pop up and show one. We typically get requests, client adds a location. We need to add one into Automate and get that integrated. And to ensure that we get it set correctly and right the first time, we have a form. So we can set it up internally, or our account managers can go do it. They basically just look up the client, selects the client name, and then it picks out any location that doesn't already exist inside of Automate. You click submit, and it will go generate the form, or it will go generate the client directly inside of Automate, create it, and set up all the values for Ignite and turn on onboarding, everything that you need inside of it in less than 2 minutes. And it even emails internal systems so they know if you need to go look at anything or if you need to move any devices, it's there. So it makes it very easy to do. And then we also select if we want it to be a spare location or if we want it to be one of our locations as well. So works off a form like this. You get to select what you want. You pick out if it's a client's new location, one of ours, and then you can pick out so they're hidden unless you select which one you want. And then the form basically selects the path, and then based on the path, it will go and run a sub workflow off of that and go create it. But this normally would take 15 minutes, and then it was based on having a resource available to go do it. And now anyone can go do it, and then it's ready for them all at once. Okay, any questions?
How did you, what is the, like, what do those sub workflows look like? Did you open them already? Sorry, I didn't see.
I did not, but we'll open one up. This is where it gets uglier. We do this when we onboard as well. So we'll go out, we'll get the company, then we'll go get the site from manage, and then it will go create the location inside of automate, and then it has to go and add in a bunch of ones or zeros basically, and sets that up. So it determines, are we monitoring for offline alerts? Do you want us to monitor for anything? It sets up all those little values, and that's what each one of those is in here. So are we excluding offline alerts? Are we monitoring for Ignite? Are we setting a service plan? All those little things that are so easy for a human to forget, we automate so it's done right every single time. And then it just runs through, grabs the company. Sorry, I'm making it smaller. Go here. Try to scroll down, and then it will email out when it's all done and tell you it's created. And then because each site has a different setting or different property for, like a spare, we want it to get updates, but we don't want to alert if it's offline. So it basically is the same type of function, except for one or two values are different.
That's really cool. How long did it take you to figure that out? Like
We already had it
steps.
built because we use this for onboarding when we add a new client in. So it's the same process. So it was just a matter of building the hardest part, I think, was going in here and building this out and then tying it in with the form. But probably hour and a half roughly.
That's awesome. And then you were just able to plug in other places. That's cool.
Correct. And we already had it from the form because we use it when we onboard. So I knew all the values for a spare location or for a new location. So it was just a matter of copying those in, using that copy to clipboard, which made it so quick.
That's great. Anybody have any questions for Jeff about that one?
And another one that I told you I'd give you two, for sure. Another one that we do is our account managers will ask us, can you get a list of network devices? So they can go out, select the company, and then they can choose, I want all network devices, I just want my core devices, or I want a la carte. They go select whatever devices they want, pick it out, click submit, and it will go email the information to them in a CSV. So instant generation, so they have it. They don't have to go into anything else, go select those items, only export it, and then start compiling it together. Just simplifies that process for them. So it's a quick way to save time for them when they're gathering that information up for a QBR. And then the form just looks like this. Select your company. You have your all three, the a la carte basically over here maps over to all the different manage configuration type IDs. List out all those. And then in here, this one actually does all the processing and it figures out which one you're using. So it looks to see if you selected all configurations, the core, or anything else. So that's how it knows what items you're pulling in from the form. Then it goes and it generates that list. It looks up the company name. And then here it determines I found devices. So I'm going to go generate my CSV and report, or there's no results and it sends that back out. That's it.
It's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Jeff, any questions for Jeff? Which one was it? Was it this one that you said that you were just using that saved you a bunch of time?
No. Actually, I have one for Auvik. I'll pull that up. I'll show you real quick.
Okay, cool.
So Auvik had some issues with their integration with Manage, and it started turning devices into a remove status and stopped syncing devices. So we found that a lot of active devices were in a remove status. So we actually have something that will activate it and just put it in place here. So I worked with support this week and then generated a list for them and sent that out. We had about 500 devices that were deactivated by Auvik that are still live. So I could go through and try and figure out all those manually, which if I didn't have Roost, I would hate. But because I have Roost, I had this list for them in less than a minute. So very easy, very quick way to go through it. If we wanted to go actually turn it back online, all I do is just reconnect it back here to go update the configuration and turn it live.
Is this based, like, do you get, like, is this a webhook trigger from?
Just a scheduled Friday task.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it just goes and fixes it. We've had issues for about 3 months and they've updated the integration, but it still hasn't fixed everything.
Really convenient.
Yeah, and then we found that there's integrations that aren't syncing to their fields as well, and we've used Roost to find that for them as well. If only we got paid for finding bugs. Roost would make a lot of money for us.
That's actually a good point. That's so interesting though, because I was just talking about this somewhere else where I was saying, like, it's one of our human realities of, like, the fact that we're always going to have these little pains, and middleware style tools are almost like our necessary evil in order to fix them. Like, you're like, should you have to do these things? Probably not, but does it end up helping you in the real world? Absolutely.
Yeah, and without it, we wouldn't know there's a problem, and we'd just wonder where everything went, or we would be wondering why it looks that way and how many more look like that. But with Roost, I can run this and I'll have an email in a minute, like I said, or I can turn them all back on in a minute. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's all I have today.
Thank you, Jeff. All right. Do we have any questions before we move on? If not, we will jump over to Emmitt.
Hello. So,
Hello.
George and I had a conversation about a workflow that I created for our organization, and I have made some major improvements to that. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. So, we're working on a scheduling platform for our technicians, so that way they can see, work with Microsoft and connect with us very seamlessly. Um, we're We've got the form all set up in here, and I've actually added a couple of different features to it. We can now we've got your typical select the service type and the duration, the resource to schedule, someone from the organization, from us. If we want to schedule with a different end user, we can do that with let's say I'm currently the contact on this ticket, but I put this in for someone else. You can do this, and it dynamically pulls all of the users from that organization. If the technician would like to draft their own email, they select this, nothing pops up, but the scheduling link will show up in the ticket instead of sending an email to them. Would you like the client to book for a future date? They can select this, and if I didn't want anyone to schedule me until the next year for this ticket, I could do this, and then they wouldn't be able to schedule until the 6th of January. I can also edit a schedule for this ticket as well. So what it does is it looks for any bookings that are in this ticket, and you can select it from there, and you can either cancel or reschedule. If you hit cancel, you have to provide a reason for cancellation, no matter what, if you use cancel or reschedule. But if you select reschedule, it asks if you would like to change the schedule manually or automatically. If you select manual, you can select a start and end time. This is for if the technician has already been in contact with the end user and has already predetermined a set. Or if they do automatic, this pop-up comes up and says, "Caution, you have selected automatic. Please select a service type for the end user to schedule." You still have to do a reason for canceling or rescheduling. But then the service type and duration becomes required. And then you can fill out any of the rest of this if you need to for your convenience if they need to schedule with someone else. So this is what it actually looks like, the whole workflow. This is where it handles the canceling and rescheduling for the manual side of things, and then the automatic side of things. And then we've got some error handling, which our technician sees if it fails on this side, or on this phase of the workflow. Our technician sees something like this. Oops, we ran into a snag. What happened? Gives a description of what happened, why it happened, what they should do. Please double check the details you entered and try again. If the issue persists, reach out to us for assistance and we'll help you resolve it as quickly as possible. What I see is this is a little small, but I've changed this since actually I messaged you, Ash. But it gives me the link to the workflow. It gives me more in detailed actions as to what happened in the workflow and what I can do to fix it. For the cancellation, this is what the end user sees. They get a 5-minute, if you're familiar with bookings, scheduling and changing automatically sends the end user an email. But I figured it would be better for the client to see something like this that comes from us and says, your technician has updated the schedule for your support ticket, the ticket number, the issue, the reason for the cancellation. That's why that one's ostracized. And then please look out for a separate email shortly with a link to reschedule your appointment on the manual side, or on the automatic side. This is what the automatic side says. On the manual side, it says that it's already been scheduled and you don't have to do anything. And then please do not reply to this automated email. This mailbox is not monitored. So those are my updates.
That's really cool. What are the next updates going to be?
Well, I'm still working on error handling. I'm waiting for more information. The reason why I've got a group of test users that are actively using this, and we actually just expanded it. Our plan is by the end of the year, before the end of the year, we actually have it on the calendar to cancel our scheduling service so that way our whole organization will move to this. We're in this beta group that I have, no one has suggested anything, but the updates of the scheduling or canceling was requested because someone accidentally scheduled with the wrong person, and so the person got a email and wasn't expecting it, and so that's where the scheduling and rescheduling came into play. A lot of people were happy with the dynamic polling of the bookings that are already set up for that ticket, because it helps them be a little more organized when it comes to the scheduling.
Awesome. Any questions or comments or intermission opinions before we move on from anybody? Nope. All right. So we're actually going to jump over now. Funny fact about situation with Dave. He messaged me a little while ago, and I totally thought that it was my son, and I was talking to him as if he was my son. Dave, I'm so sorry. You probably were like, why is she patronizing me? We'll reward you with some entertainment now.
Okay. Hey guys, it's been a while. Haven't done a workflow in a little while for you guys. Something I worked on. We have many clients with remote desktop infrastructures, and one of the problems we have with that is that sometimes in Microsoft's infinite wisdom with remote desktops, user sessions can get hung, or users need to be logged off for one reason or another. We also have clients all over the world, and that also put a toll on our on-call people working late at night for people that are overseas, and causing us to have to jump in and log off. So I built a workflow on Roost that allows people through their Ninja Assist tray to log themselves off RDS without us having to do anything. I don't know if that's helpful or interesting to anybody, but I'll go through it real quick. Find it here. Okay. It's probably easier if I just share my whole screen so I can swap things around. Switch. Screen, this one. Okay, so there's a few things that go to this. What it looks like on the user side of things is that go. There it is. I don't know if anybody can see this or not, but in the system tray, I created a additional button that says log me off remote desktop, which if you're familiar with Ninja, you can customize the system tray to have all kinds of fun things in it, including activating automations. When the user clicks this, it executes a script in PowerShell, which is this. Looks like a lot, but it's really not much to it. What this does is it pulls their user account they're signed in with. So things like if they're on the domain, for instance, or Azure AD, their user account's going to match what's in the remote desktop infrastructure. So when this workflow activates, what it does is it calls a webhook through the PowerShell script after grabbing the user's details from their workstation and comes in here. We use both commercial and Ninja FedRAMP. So we have to split between which client is what, depending on what location they're in. So this looks like it's two sides of a coin, because it is. Essentially the same thing's happening on the left that's happening on the right, but it's one workflow for both actions. So we bring the incoming data in, we determine what location they're in, either FedRAMP or commercial. We look for the device via the API based on the computer name coming back from the web query. We grab all the device for the organization specific to the roles assigned to their servers, such as RD servers versus gateway servers. We have individual roles for those servers. We create a new webhook, and we send to the gateway server first, which is often the broker server as well, the second script, which says, hey, this user account wants to log off. Check and see if this server has this user account. We send those as simple parameters with the callback URL as well, encoded in base 64 to make sure it's not scrambled. And if that script is successful, it sends a notification to the user that they've been successfully logged off. If it fails, it falls back to checking the remote desktop servers next. And if it's successful, again, the user is notified. Otherwise, they're notified that it was unable to log them off. And it's all this happens in about 8 to 10 seconds of them clicking the button. It's really, really fast. But that's it. I mean, much to it. It's just PowerShell and Roost together. Usually works pretty well together. Anybody have any questions about that? Anything I could answer?
Where are your next steps?
Where's my next steps?
Yeah, what's your like, are you seeing this as done? Do you have enhancement plans? What are your visions for this in the future?
This right now is, it took me about 6.5 hours to make this start to finish with the script plus the workflow and testing. This works. I've already deployed it to a couple of our clients, and they're testing it more on a larger scale than the individual servers that I've tested it on. But I don't think there's much left to do on this. I mean, the users are notified whether it fails or not. I mean,
Awesome.
seems to work fine. So I don't think I can add anything else to it.
That's great. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Any thoughts? We are at the end of our scheduled demos now. I have my own stuff that we can like look at a little bit, but before that, anybody else have anything burning, or they've been like interested, itching? You know, like we've got a little bit of a smaller audience today, so if you wanted to like trial anything out. Going once. I heard somebody a while ago talk about how you just need to be comfortable with silences, and I'm really working on that. They make me so uncomfortable though. All right, guys, I will share my screen here, and anybody else who wants to jump in can, but we will go over this stuff. Wait, let me make sure that I have the right things open here. Okay. Window. Can you see my browser all right?
Yep. Yar.
Cool. It's not showing up on my screen for some reason. Oh, there. That's weird. All right. Normally I can see what I'm sharing, but I can't. All right. So are you seeing my my Discord API developer portal page?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So a while ago I posted how I was building out a workflow for managing or capturing and collecting Discord messages. One of the things that's a little bit frustrating with it right now is how it's a bit manual. So I wanted to build a trigger so that I could be able to say, hey, grab any devices that, or any messages from any channel that aligns with like the date and time that I wanted to go for. Sorry, I was looking up the thread I was looking for too. And there was some frustrations that I was having around how I actually grab the like how I identify what the message ID is, for example. And so I posted this a while ago in Discord, which was me figuring out how to do the Jinja for the timestamps on the Discord snowflakes. What figured out was that there's this they have their own date. It's like their date of inception. We were talking about this earlier on the call if you had jumped in at that time. And there's this way to capture it where you do like a like you just have to drop off the last 22 bits of the letter or of the word or something, but this doesn't work in Jinja. And so I had no idea what that meant. I didn't understand that math. I had to kind of reverse engineer that stuff, which is where I got to here. That describes kind of how it works. So division with the number of 4194304 is effectively the equivalent of doing 2 to the power of 22, which gets you the lower 22 bits removed. And so this was just the how to actually convert that. But then what I wanted to do was I wanted to say, well, maybe I want to give a sub workflow an ID of a message and be able to get like what date that was from. Or maybe I want to be able to give a date and then get what the snowflake of the equivalent of the start of that date would be. And so that's where I kind of sat with this one, where I gave it the timestamp and the message ID. And I said, if I give you the message ID, go down this path. And if I give you the timestamp, go down this path. And then I just plugged in the stuff that was in the Discord thread so this is the way to get the date stamp from a message ID, where you just do this calculation. And then I wanted to reverse engineer that, which is what I didn't do on the other one, but I did here, where it's basically just the same thing, but you're doing it in reverse to get that back. And what was interesting about this was that it's a snowflake, but it's not unique to like the channel. It's not unique to anything. It's purely like timestamp matching. And so it's kind of cool because you don't ever, like, I could give it, like, for example, if we looked at this general channel in CyberDrain, if I give it just this channel name, or this message, for example, I'm going to grab the message ID. And I come in here and I test this with that message ID. It returns to me that this was the timestamp of it. But even if I gave this exact same timestamp, and tested it, it gives me back a different message ID. And that's because, like, so it's the same one way to the other, but it's not the same. You're going to get a different snowflake. But what I discovered was that even when I search for that as a message ID, even though it's not the one I'm looking for, it still converts it properly to that timestamp. And so I was like, okay, I wonder if that means that I can then use any arbitrary timestamp that's converted from a date in any channel to like get that. And so then it started making me think, all right, so I could actually potentially just figure out what a Discord snowflake is for a timestamp, and then no matter where I am, whatever channel, it'll just give me the stuff for that day. So if I, for example, test that here, we can see that I'm looking for the messages that are existing in the channel that I provide. And the after is the message ID that we're looking for. And so I can give it the exact channel ID. Is this the right one? We'll see. And the exact message ID. Hold on. Let's just make sure that I have the right one so that we're doing it properly here. and the channel. Yeah, we'll throw. That will find that all the messages that come through on after that message. Now, if I wanted to say, well, I only want the stuff from that day, for example, then I can, that's where that will be valuable, because even if it's a different channel or even if that doesn't exist, I can pull out that timestamp, grab that ID, plug it in, and then when I use that as the ID when I'm searching, it'll return nothing because I used the wrong the wrong one again. But here. Now let's put that in there. Now it finds the stuff, all of the stuff for that day that existed right after, like the start of that day all the way down. So instead of just grabbing the ones after it, it also grabbed that one, and it includes it down. Hi, Logan. Anyway, that was what I was playing with. My thought for how I will handle this, how I will use this, is that I'll able to be dynamically able to pull maybe with a cron job or something. I can just say at the end of the day to give me all of the messages from that day, and I can be dynamic with that, which is going to be opening up a lot of potential. But simply just by testing this in the in like its own environment here, now whenever I've got that sorted, I'll be able to just plug it in as a sub workflow, and if I know the ID, I can give it the ID. If I know the date, I can give it the date, and that'll be able to help me in my very specific Discord related needs. That's it. Somebody say something.
Woo woo! Well done.
Something.
Thanks for sharing.
I was going to go there.
Thank you. Yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to think about some other ways to use that, and maybe other people can think about other things that might be the same. I don't know. I think it was Andrew earlier that was talking about how like a lot of products do that with their own Snowflake IDs. So
yeah, I bumped into that with something else I needed. I think it was probably messing around with N-Central and its weird timestamps. Yeah, I bumped into it once before where the epoch wasn't normal. It wasn't standard, and it wasn't what I was expecting anyway.
it's kind of smart when I realized it afterwards. I was like, oh, like what is like the most accurate way to get a reliable ID? Use a timestamp, because like how often is it that somebody is posting at the same microsecond of somebody else or whatever, right? There's way more to it than that, but yeah. Anyways, that's it. We're 6 minutes left. Who wants to, what do we want to talk about for 6 minutes, guys?
I had a thought.
Uh-oh.
Oh God. No. This is actually a positive one. No, I was thinking like one thing that we never do during the open mics is like make challenges or anything for someone to automate something for next time. And I was thinking like this is actually something that one of my partners came up with. One of our interns is currently emailing all of our clients saying like, hey, the holidays are coming up. Are you guys closed for specific days during the holiday season? And if you are, would you like us to set an automated out of office for the entire company? And that's something that we're doing somewhat. It's manual assisted automation. He's currently sending the email and then checking the reply, then setting it up himself using SIP. But that is something that anyone could automate inside of Roost. And I'm really wondering what different approaches people would take to doing something like this.
That's actually a really amazing idea because we're doing the same thing with our side. So
I think you can set up out of offices in SIP, so I feel like there could be a form they fill out. If yes, choose dates, and then it triggers the SIP workflow.
Is that for the full company though, Josh, or is that just per individuals?
I'm looking right now.
I think that's the challenge, right, Calvin? Is some people set their out of office, but it's individuals, and then some people forget. Or yeah, that'd be cool just to have like a master. The entire company, like our office is closed for this week for Christmas, and here are your options if something is an emergency. Or
You'll just need to do a giant for each loop then.
But it also sets the standard that everybody's got the same message. They're all providing the same content. It's all being uniform across the board. So, that standardization of that message being sent out is nice.
Although you may have to watch out about certain sales and notification mailboxes and shared mailboxes, because you don't want certain things to just start a mass trigger.
It's a good discussion around like identifying the scope and your outliers and use cases and things, because then it gets into, well, what in the API can help us discern whether it's one or not, and maybe there's some sort of programmatic field that you could review.
Yeah.
You could the problematic fight between automations where two mailboxes are emailing each other over and over again. They're getting automated responses back and forth.
It's like where you get the AIs talking to each other on the phone.
Switching to Jabberlink. Josh, were you going to say something?
Yeah, you could target it to a group. I mean, you'd still have to do like the for each or whatever, but I mean, if they're in this group.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or set an exclusion if, all of your service accounts or your automated inboxes are in a certain group, or set a group for them, that it excludes that from the parameter of applying that out of office.
We have a customer that has unique requirements around holidays, where their production ramps up. So they go in, they'll probably start this coming Monday. They'll likely want their patching and maintenance turned off to prevent any downtime, because they go into overdrive and they'll run like that for 6 weeks before they cool it. So I've been trying to find a way to disable or at least pause the patching and maintenance for that particular customer. We've also got a couple other customers that have some unique patching requirements, but that could play into like around the holiday season, because that's something that we know. We've got recurring scheduled tickets, which are kind of a pain to deal with, but same idea. We could have a form, or we could have an automated trigger based on the date, turn things off for them.
Yeah. Andrew, I just have one really important question.
Yeah.
Is that because you are secretly working for Santa and that's why it ramps up?
No, they're like a really large turkey provider in the area, so their production is up. Yeah, so they provide turkeys for the holiday season. So around not too bad for the Canadian Thanksgiving, but when it comes to Christmas and especially Easter, they're extremely busy.
Just slaughtering left, right, and center. It's just go.
Yeah, I can't go into any more details than that, but yes, basically.
That kind of sounds like what a secret agent of Santa would say.
Yeah.
Slaughtering left, right, and center? I hope not.
Well, I know in CW or in ConnectWise that we use a lot of custom fields to control our patching and various other aspects. In other words, what's assigned to what for patching schedules and whatnot. So
we
should be able to.
We ran into a lot of trouble with it. So we use N-Central. And the way N-Central is architecturally designed, when you write back to a custom property, plus we have a lot of custom properties that we read. We had 300 plus. I've toned it down a bit now, but we had a ton of custom properties and a ton of rules that were triggered based on custom properties and filters. We took our 16 core 32 gig N-Central server to a crawl seeing delays in monitoring between 6 and 8 hours. So
Ouch.
we've had to rethink a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, I hadn't dealt with N-Central in it's going on 5-6 years now. So
I would love to switch to Ninja, but I don't think that's going to happen. I've been really pushing for Ninja, specifically for its third-party patch capabilities. N-Central literally has none.
That's
I need
2 quick
enable
questions.
people here.
That's hold on, that's not true. We do third-party patching within Central. We self-host as well.
N-Central has in its third-party patch only has 101 apps.
Okay, well, all right.
Ninja's has 16,000.
That's fair. We're looking at like Emmitt too, because we use Emmitt to kind of help some of that too.
Yeah, we talked about that as well, but you know, we're on a diet. We're trying to simplify and cut.
Yeah,
So simplify and cut costs.
We dropped Emmitt when we moved to Ninja because everything Emmitt is doing, we can do in Ninja. So there's no reason to pay for it.
Yep. See, Dave knows.
We are at the top of the hour, a couple minutes over. George, did you have some wrap-up questions you said you had?
It's okay. It'll for next time. It'll open a total can of worms. So what I'll do actually, I'll put it in the coop and people can chime in there because it's it's a can of worms. And so I'll post it in there now. You guys can reply to me there.
Is it going to be a spicy next open mic?
This is my theory and assumption. Is this correct? And follow-up question to do with RMMs. So you guys let me know in the coop. We'll be in there in just a minute.
We'll keep the conversation
Thanks,
going in the coop, and we'll see you guys all next week.